This is the second movie in less than a year where somebody's gotten the shaft on an inheritance. I'm starting to feel a little bit more appreciative of the fact that my family doesn't have shit to leave to me. The Inheritance is brought to us by directors Chad Berger and Kevin Speckmeyer, and stars Natalia Romania and Nick Whitman. We follow Sasha and Peter, an American couple who have inherited the estate of Sasha's late grandfather. This estate is located in Eastern Europe, so they go there to see the estate and decide what they're going to do with it. Their plans are to most likely sell it, however, while there, they discover some odd goings-on in the house. And as things get creepier and creepier, and some unexplained phenomena start to happen in the house, they start to question what exactly went on within these walls over the years. And as Sasha searches deeper and deeper, she starts to suspect some things about her family that are a bit concerning. The Inheritance is billed as a horror thriller, though it is much more thriller than horror. This movie is much more about tone and tension and what you don't see, what's right outside of your vision. We hear a lot of things and we see the aftermath of a lot of things, but we don't really see a lot of things. Something this movie did really well was tension. It did a very good job of ratcheting up the tension slowly as the story went on. Every time Sasha decided to go searching in new places in the house, it was pretty nerve-wracking. You never knew what was right around the corner or what she was going to discover. And this is mostly associated with the great camera work and sound design here. There's not a lot of jump scares here. It's all about the tension and you working yourself up. There were quite a few moments that the sound design in this movie did all the scaring that you need. There really are some truly tense moments in this film. It does a really good job of building that tension and paying it off, though not necessarily paying it off in the way that you expect usually. Berger and Speckmeyer definitely know how to direct some thriller horror, but the story aspect of things is a little bit light. Now, it's not like the worst story I've ever seen in a thriller horror, but it is a bit light, and when we finally get to the payoff of the film, it just didn't totally do it for me. It wasn't like a total wash, but when having such a strong lead up to this ending for it to just kind of be, it was a little bit disappointing. I expected more of a stronger end to this strong buildup. Now, in the movie's defense, that's not what this film's about. It's not about a bunch of like crazy jump scares and just scaring the shit out of you throughout the film. It is long game. It's very much about slow building tension. And I suppose to that effect, the end is in line with everything else. I was just hoping for something a bit more satisfying than what we got. The actual thing that this movie is about, what we find out in the end, is not terrible. I was okay with that. It's just the way that it all paid off was just a little bit limp noodle, or a bit limper than I would have preferred. So I guess I'm saying I wanted it hard. As it stands though, I was entertained throughout with this little horror, and the ending, while it wasn't exactly what I wanted, it was fine. Is this first class horror? No, but it's pretty good horror, or thriller. The amount of performances here is fairly limited. This is a pretty small cast, but what we got is pretty good. Natalia Romania is definitely going to be the standout, and that's a good thing because she is the main attraction of the film. This movie is on her shoulders, so the fact that she did a really good job throughout definitely helped. Everybody else does a solid job as well. There's no real bad performances here. There's a couple that are a little bit less than the others, but for the most part, everybody does a really good job here. Nick Whitman as Peter at times seems a little bit off, but for the most part, he's fine too. All in all, really solid to good performances all around. Now, the technical side of things is where this movie really shines, and not necessarily in like special effects and all that. There's a couple of effects here or there, but not really a whole lot. It's mostly camera work and sound design. But this is some really good camera work and sound design. This movie looks really good. I honestly was not expecting it to look as good as it did. I was kind of expecting it to have that cheap look that lower budgeted movies do, but this movie looks really good, especially considering the budget that it had. We do get a few interesting creative camera angles, but for the most part, it's the very deliberate movement of the camera and the way that they navigate this house in these real high tension scenes that is just excellent. That and the sound design are absolutely what made this movie as creepy as it is. And make no mistake, this movie is creepy as fuck. When they want that tension rising, it is absolutely rising. They did a fantastic job here, and it is all attributed to the great camera work and sound design. The ambient sounds that are constantly going on in this film will really fuck with your head. There's some pretty creepy shit there. All the way from little whispers in the dark to creaking doors and floorboards to loud noises that are going on the floor above our characters. None of it comes across as like cheap scares, like they're trying to scare the shit out of you with loud noises or anything. There's no abnormally loud phones in this movie. It's all just really well constructed sound design and music as well. Just the whole sound palette as a whole is really good here. While I did think that the story and performances in this film were all pretty good, it's the overall technical aspects of the film that absolutely win the day here. This is a really good looking movie. Guys, after all said and done, The Inheritance was a pretty good time. Is it the scariest thriller I've ever seen? No, absolutely not, but it does do its job. It is scary enough. It does a really good job with tension and ratcheting it up. There are a couple of moments in the story that feel a bit drug out, and the ending could have been a bit stronger. The performances overall are pretty solid, and this movie looks really damn good and does a fantastic job with its sound and visual. And while this isn't gonna dethrone The Sixth Sense as one of the scariest goddamn movies ever made, it is worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
I was actually expecting this movie to not be very good, so I was pretty surprised that it was as good as it was. And while it's not like the be-all, end-all horror thriller of all time or anything, it is an entertaining enough thrilling ride and definitely worth checking out one night. So there it is, guys, my review of The Inheritance. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Gomel. I watched this movie with headphones on, so I got like the full audio experience, I guess. And there was one part that kind of really did get me in the audio department. I'm not gonna ruin it because it was a bit closer to the end, and it wasn't technically a jump scare so much, but it was a moment when something really loud happened, but it kind of like ramped up. It didn't come out of nowhere, you heard it coming. So it wasn't like I was scared that something loud happened. It's when this thing happened, it was truly, like, the sound design for it was so damn good, thinking about it now, it truly sent chills down my spine. I mean, that was legitimately the most chilling part of the movie. It wasn't even anything I saw on screen. It was all sound. I was sitting there and like it just happened and I was like, ugh. I kind of like looked around the room because I was by myself and I was afraid maybe there was something else in there. I was really creeped out by it. I almost took the fucking headphones off and threw it. So yeah. That was my little bitch moment. Go ahead, you watch scary movies in a dimly lit room all alone with fucking headphones on, and let's see how you react. Or maybe it's just me being a scary bitch.